Okay, so in this video we will talk about the four different kinds of tissue, which are epithelial, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. So starting out with epithelial tissue, this type of tissue covers the inside and outside of our body. It repairs and reproduces quickly. It's pretty much dead skin because there's no blood supply to that skin, because underneath the epithelial tissue lies the connective tissue, which has that blood supply. And so some of the characteristics of the epithelial tissue are it can be lined in a simple or stratified layer. So simple layer is just one flat layer, and stratified has multiple layers. And then going more into depth with the tissue, we have squamous, cubical, and columnar, which squamous is just flat, cubical is square, and columnar is rectangular. And so, having a diagram, you can see that the top is the simple and the bottom is the stratified because it has multiple layers, and this only has one layer. So underlying that epithelial layer is the connective tissue, and the connective tissue is filled with different types of cells that have their own function that can prevent clots, or they can consume or even produce fibers, and those are called the mast cells, macrophages, and the fibroblasts. And then we even have the collagens, which are a part of the bones, tendons, and ligaments, and then elastic fibers are the very flexible cells that are kind of produce our cartilages and our ears and stuff. And so I have just a little diagram, and you can see that the macrophages and the fibroblasts and the mast cells that all contain the connective tissue. And then we have different types of categories of the connective tissue, which I have some diagrams. And we have the adipose, cartilage, bone, blood, loose connective tissue, and then the fibrous tissue. And then going on to muscle tissue, we have three different types of muscle tissue, which are cardiac, which is the heart, the skeletal muscle, which attaches to our bones, and then the smooth muscle tissue, which makes up kind of our hollow organs. And the cardiac muscle tissue and the smooth muscle tissue have involuntary movements because they kind of just do it on our own. And then the skeletal muscle tissue is voluntary because we kind of control when we move our muscles and when we get up. And then the last tissue is the nerve tissue. This is found in the brain and the spinal cord, and it also is found in all of their nerves that the brain and the spinal cord have. And this tissue is made up of neurons, and basically neurons are specialized cells that send and receive signals to like our other cells. So then that breaks up into like our axons, which and dendrites, which axons send the signals and the dendrites receive the signals back into our body. So I kind of have this diagram that again has the neuron and the nucleus, and then the dendrites are, the axons are sending the signals and the dendrites are receiving them. And then another picture is of the neuron and the nucleus, and then we have the nerdella. And the nerdella basically just supports the neuron in all of its actions. It kind of just, if that is the only thing that the nerdella do, it just supports the neuron. And these tissues can again be found in the spinal cord and in the brain.